David Rutherford. He's a former Navy SEAL, served a combat tour in Afghanistan. He's also the host of the Dave Rutherford Show on the Clay and Buck Podcast Network, which is growing every month. It is a fantastic program. Recommend you all go check it out. Dave, we call you Rut. So for anyone who's confused, Mr. Rut, tell us, first off, your thoughts on this Veterans Day. Speaking for yourself and your fellow veterans out there, what's your top level view? How's it going?
Buck, it's Clay. Thanks for having me on again. I think for veterans right now, there's a rebirth. There's a revival taking place in what Pete is doing. I mean, every time I see Joe Kent post something, I want to go get my kid on and, sign back up. And I just think right now there's a revitalization, and the numbers are showing that. People are wanting to go in. They're wanting to serve. They believe that the president is fired up to, make the American military the mightiest force in the world again. And I think it's a real positive moment for everyone.
When you see those enlistment numbers, and Pete Hegseth came out at the Patriot Awards, and he was talking about them on Thursday night, and I know that on this Veterans Day, they're shining a bright light on it. Isn't that the best actual indication of how the Secretary of War, as we now have it renamed, but the Secretary of Defense for the last 30 or 40 years, isn't that the ultimate judgment on him and on the trajectory of the military? Do people want to join or not?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely it is. I mean, you went to that. I mean, I love that there was this incredible gala, right? You saw the Marine Corps balls. You saw Vice President Vance speak at one, the E5 Mafia represented at the highest levels. Yeah, people are stoked, and the numbers reflect that. I think it's the other great challenge is because we're not in a very substantial kinetic environment right now, that it's difficult to tell, whether it'll last, because that's the real testament. Do people stay in over when there's high levels of combat? But right now, I think young people, young American 24-year-old men are revitalized with this idea that I can go and serve in the military, that my uncle, that my father, that my grandfather, that my great-grandfather served in, and I'm going to get that genuine sense of real patriotism and service.
Dave, take us back, if you would, to your decision to join up, just what it was like what was going through your head, what your feelings were about it, the motivations, your sense of what it would mean to be in the Navy, and of course to join the teams, become a Navy SEAL. Like, just take us back to that moment, because I think for a lot of people who today maybe are considering, once again, we have younger audience members who are listening who might be thinking about it. We have college age people listening who might be considering it. What was your mindset like when you first decided, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring?
That's a great question, Buck. For me, I was struggling to try and figure out what I wanted to do with my life. My athletic career hadn't worked out the way I had hoped at college level, and I was just in this position where it's like, what is the meaning of my life going to represent? And my great uncle was in Theodore Roosevelt's cabinet. I had, it's been several generations since anybody had served. But that legacy and link, I think, was a driving force, as well as just I was a Gen Xer. I was influenced by Rambo and Commando and all the incredible movies that, showed American military might and power at the highest levels, Top Gun, Navy SEALs, and that consumed me. I was like, this is the thing that's going to put me on my way, help me figure out what I'm made of, if I can represent something bigger than myself, and something that'll give me purpose and meaning to figure out the longer term idea of what I might ultimately become. So yeah, it was a powerful influence over me to go try and become a part of, not only the DOD, but the Navy and the SEAL teams, and down all the way to the guys that were next to me that I served with.
We're talking to David Rutherford. I encourage you to go subscribe to his podcast. It's a part of the Clay and Buck Podcast Network. It's Veterans Day. You are a Navy SEAL. And I don't know if we've ever asked you this question, but when you were going through the process of becoming a Navy SEAL, what was the toughest thing to you about the Navy SEAL process itself? Was there a moment where you thought, I cannot push myself any further? And we've got a lot of people out there, a lot of young guys that listen to us and maybe aspire to be a Navy SEAL one day. What would you say they should know? What would you say they should do?
I think the biggest thing is to recognize that you have so much more in your reservoir of willpower than you can even imagine. In these programs, whether it's BUDS or it's selection or the Q course or MARSOCs or whatever amazing selection process from all the different soft units, like you have to realize you have what it takes. It's just a question of believing in yourself. And then for me, the biggest thing is I didn't want to let the guys down next to me. That was the biggest motivator. Like, I'm going to be honest, I thought about, quitting all the time. I mean, the pain of just going through it, being wet, being sandy, being miserable, having people scream at you, the whole thing. But what it does for me is it just motivated me to be better for the guys next to me. And then they became the ultimate motivation. So, I think when you're thinking about what it is, first and foremost, the number one thing, and I just had a call with a young man the other day who's in college and, really thinking about it. And the thing I say the most is do the deep dive, understand what you're committing to, understand, Bongino, Dan put a great text out or tweet out today where he said, the ultimate thing is serving the men and women that are next to you in the line of fire. And that is the thing that is the driving force ultimately. I know guys that have 800 combat missions. I know a couple guys that have 500, 400, multiple silver stars, 5 bronze stars with valor. These are the ultimate heroes. And you ask them, why did you serve? Why did you fight as hard as you did? And the ultimate thing always comes down because of the man that was next to me. And so, that's the driving force. If you want to participate with the very highest caliber of committed human beings to you and your success, then these programs are right for you.
Dave, I wanted you to also weigh in on how are we doing? There was this whole period during the GWAT era where a lot of people who served and a lot of people who saw combat were being brought back in and going through the transition back into civilian life. That is less of a focus now in the general public discussion than it was, because you point out we're not really in active combat zones the way we were before. How are we doing in taking care of our veterans, though? Because whether we have Tunnel to Towers, for example, a great sponsor here on the program, there are some veterans who have long-term needs, who still need that assistance from whether it's psychological or physical wounds. Is the VA getting the attention it needs under this administration? I'm wondering how we're doing on that front.
I still believe there is an immeasurable amount of work to be done. Yeah, I see the director of the VA going on all the shows and he's saying the right things, but there are still, thousands, tens of thousands of people in the soft community alone that took the brunt of those GROT operational tempo. And it's not just the combat deployments, it's the endless training cycles, right, that also have a really profound effect. And that's why, for me, I've really kind of linked myself to Dr. Chris Free and the framework of operator syndrome. I started a little nonprofit to really try and figure out how to address the 17 different medical and behavioral health challenges that long-term exposure to high training tempos and high deployment cycles has an impact on people. You can't send a guy, doing 14, 15 deployments and not expect there to be some long-term damage. And that's why, there was actually just a new study from a Stanford doctor that did a case study with 200 special operations guys and he used the operator syndrome framework, and that study validated the original paper and book written by Dr. Chris Free, that this is a reality, right? That long-term exposure causes metabolic destabilization. It causes behavioral health challenges in different ways. Yes, PTSD, but also survivor's guilt, extensive existential challenges, intimacy issues, right? Then you have neurogenic issues from blast wave exposure, endocrine dysfunction, and then the orthopedic injuries, the perpetual living in pain. And so, I think there's still a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done at the administrative level to at least bring in this Stanford doc and Dr. Free. I would love to see them be able to testify on Capitol Hill and tell the people that are in charge of the funding to carve out a little bit of funding to do research on operator syndrome. I mean, we've seen the most substantial thing I think we've seen has been on the state level. You saw former Governor Perry work with the lawyer Hubbard was his name, and they got $50 million in funding to do research on ibogaine and 5-MeO-DMT, which is the VETS program initiative that really helps guys, one, get sober, come off prescription drugs, and then the other to reestablish neuroelasticity and establish new brain patterning that can help facilitate putting some of those demons to rest. So there's a lot of work to be done, a lot of guys still struggling, and what I would really love is that for the next kinetic war that could take place, which right now could be anywhere, I hope that we have a better plan in place to take care of them, as opposed to what the GWAT guys, the Vietnam guys, the Korean, and then also World War II guys did not receive.
David Rutherford, thank you for your service. Our friend, we appreciate you, appreciate what you did for the country, and also would recommend all of you listening, go check out the David Rutherford Show on the Clay and Buck Podcast Network. Rut, always appreciate you, man. Thank you for giving us your time today.
God bless you guys. Thank you, Buck, for your service too, buddy. Take care. God bless.
Thank you, my man. You too. The Preborn Network of Clinics stands out as the nonprofit that does so much to save the lives of unborn children every day. Because for a woman contending with an unplanned pregnancy, having information, options, and support is key to saving the unborn baby in her womb. Ask Linda about learning about her options in that moment in her life. When Linda learned she was pregnant, she knew abortion was wrong, but fear almost consumed her and led her to dark places. She didn't know where to turn to. Then she found a Preborn Network clinic. She was met there with prayer, compassion, love, and the truth that pierced through her fear. Linda chose life for her tiny baby. Linda got truthful answers about matters related to her unborn child at that Preborn clinic, because when a mother hears the truth, lives are saved. $28 provides a free ultrasound to women like Linda. That single gift, that experience of meeting her unborn child, makes all the difference. This is your chance to make a difference too. Will you answer the call? Pick up your phone, dial pound 250 and say baby. That's pound 250, say baby, or donate securely at preborn.com/buck, preborn.com/BUCK. Sponsored by Preborn.